Hi, I'm Mindy Stern.
I'm JD Cargill.
And I'm Michelle Arago, and this is Friendsome Then Some.
We are three best friends who met over 2 decades ago working in LA's local news scene, and we started this podcast to listen, learn, and laugh. Oh, do we laugh? On our journey to improving the midlife experience through the incredible power of friendship.
And each week we rip back the curtain on midlife, candidly exposing the biggest issues facing middle-aged people, often by sharing the intimate details of our own lives and our friendship. Through expert guests and celebrity interviews, we offer friendship-based tips, tricks, hacks, and solutions to living your best midlife. We are Midlife AF
And Flossom AH.
So here we go. It's
Friendsome
Friendsome
Then
Then Some.
And a one, 2, 3.
So no one told you life was gonna be this way. Your job's a joke.
You're broke.
My love life's D.O.
Oh,
so much truth to that. So much truth to that.
This is
Okay.
not.
I'm actually, my job's a joke, I'm broke, and my love life's DOA.
That's a threefer. You're batting 1,000 right there.
First of all, your job is not a joke. You're an
It's not a
incredible
joke.
real estate
And
agent.
you're not broke. You
and
have a
producer of
well,
Friendsome Then Some.
being a
Wealth.
negative nanny. What are you
Feels
gonna
that way
do?
sometimes, though.
Your
huh?
love
Oh,
life is not DOA
Can we
because it's
just
with
say-
yourself and you are thriving. So F
Yes. Yes, sure.
You're thriving right now because you're on set with your two besties who love you
know.
so much.
And today's episode is all about the Friends reunion.
Friends is coming
We even
back.
got a magazine about
Oh my God.
all the juicy gossip with the Friends reunion that's happening this Thursday on HBO Max.
That's right.
So we thought we'd dedicate our whole show to Friends.
Exactly. You knew it was coming. I mean, hello, we're a friendship
it makes
podcast.
total sense,
Exactly.
right?
Hello.
And where were we, back then and friends and just starting our lives together? There's lots of parallels to the show Friends and what we've gone through in the last 2 decades
So
of
what
friendship.
year did that launch? 1994.
1994.
That's right.
They ran for
Oh.
10 seasons, and this is their 25th anniversary of starting the show.
Wow.
So,
So it's been 15 years since they've been off the air.
yeah.
That's incredible.
Oh my gosh,
I mean,
that's super
But
sad.
they've
Their
never
lives
left.
have-
There's never been a day since
and
Friends
now
started
since
that you
with
can't find it on
Hulu
TV.
and all the
Yeah.
shows. I mean, kids are now binge watching like Friends and
Oh, my daughters are totally into Friends. They love this
and
Friends
they- oh, yeah, she
sweatshirt.
has this- I bought her that at the
she
mall.
loves that. Yeah.
So I was like, wait, you're watching Friends?
Oh, they love
so
it.
crazy.
Yeah, it's
so,
a whole new
and
generation.
Kids can binge.
I think they like it because it's just an innocent time. Didn't it feel like when that show
Well,
was
there's-
on,
they
the
had some
humor was
pretty-
all...
There were no
I
cell
guess
phones.
at the time
Exactly.
it seemed some edgy topics,
there were, right.
But now it seems muted. But they had.
I think it
Ross's
has
wife
stands
became a
test of
lesbian,
time.
and,
Exactly.
Right.
and then
And
there
the
were some
baby
other
and everybody.
storylines that were juicy, but otherwise, a lot of people say it was a little white cookie cutter ish.
Yeah,
But
I don't
that
think it
was
would
a
get
sign
made
of
with
the
that
times,
cast today.
too.
Let's be
No.
honest. 'cause
Yeah.
it's
It wouldn't be
not-
made
it's
I
not
mean,
very
Aisha
diverse.
Tyler was the only Ross dated her. Remember, she's his girlfriend and in the show, and that was edgy then for that time. Even though people have had interracial relationships for
I know.
decades
Forever.
and
I
decades and
know.
decades, but it was like, oh, it's on a TV show. I mean, it
Exactly.
kind of was. It's so
Well,
they
because
broke
the
ground
show
in a
was
couple
such
of
a
How
ways.
mega
unwoke
hit that
were
any
we?
topic they addressed put it on the front burner
Yeah.
for the entire country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is the power of that show. We don't have shows like that anymore.
No.
Right? There's
Yeah.
no more appointment television if you think about it.
No,
because of-
there's no DVR.
No, because
there wasn't
Netflix is
DVR.
anytime. There's,
Yeah.
you can go to Netflix to watch
Or
anything,
on demand.
or on demand, or Hulu.
Yeah.
Anything you want to see is whenever. There's no appointment. You're
So
right.
in
I
1994,
I
I
do too.
had to be in front of the TV for Friends, or you missed the episode. There was no chance of you catching up because they did each storyline. They weren't like a lot of storylines now are just one show.
Right.
You could miss all the shows, but they're just one body. This built. So if you missed the last show, you were lost.
Right, which
Literally.
is also kind of trailblazing for it because
Yeah.
sitcoms really didn't operate back then.
Yeah.
They used to be episodic. They used to be like one-stop shopping, so any audience could
Right.
enjoy any episode. On
Like
its
I Love
own.
Lucy
It's a
type
stand-
things.
Exactly.
That was the.
Yeah,
So
but
it was
you wouldn't
nice.
want to
It's nice to
miss
see those
Ross
storylines
and Rachel
build.
kissing for the first time, or you would have never.
yeah.
And we didn't have the internet where we could watch the clips the next day. I mean, you would see it maybe in the news shows.
This
but
is the show about ancient history, people. If
I
you're
know.
if you're under
Well,
30,
what were your other appointment? Mine at that era, it was 1994. I had 2 roommates, Katya and Jessica.
Shout out to
And-
Katya and Jessica.
And Katya, well, Jessica and I lived together first, and Rick and Gary lived below us. They were our, they were gay best friends.
Husbands.
They weren't a couple, and we lived above them, and we had appointment television for 90210 Melrose Place. That was a one night. Friends was the other one, and then Party of Five. Remember Party of Five?
Because you look like Naomi.
And Melrose Place. Don't forget Melrose Place.
I did.
Wait, Michelle.
When I was thinner, I looked exactly like
Nev Campbell.
Campbell.
Like that. It was literally the day I walked into KTLA.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
Oh, we got a picture of that. Yeah,
I love it. I love that I work with Nev Campbell.
She did a milk ad, and maybe if we can find that. Where people, I worked at GW at the time, George Washington University. I lived in DC in 1994 with my roommates, and she did a milk ad, and it was all over magazines. I had several people come and go, "You did a milk ad? Remember Got Milk? That's
totally.
when Got Milk,
with
the
white
Got Milk
mustache,
yes,
the white
when the
mustache.
Got Milk campaign came out, that picture of her literally looked like me, and I was like, did I? I didn't do drugs back then, but I was like, damn, did I do a Got Milk commercial? But now, she's living her best life, and
she's still very relevant.
She dated John Cusack, and I was really jealous.
Man.
So in 1994, I was in a
Career.
senior year in high school. So I was my senior
He's
year
the
in high
baby
school.
of the podcast.
But that run, I was saying this before when we were prepping the show, that's such an important era for my life personally, because from 1994 to 2004, the decade that Friends ran on TV, was like probably the most, like the biggest
life-changing
dynamic,
trajectory.
exactly, life-defining decade of my life, going from a senior in high school through college. Appointment television all the time with everybody crowding into one room before cell phones, before the computers. I mean, not the computers. The computers were there. I'm not ancient. I'm not Mindy. Okay. Sing.
Wow.
But what I will say is that show,
friends.
by the time it was off the air, I knew you three. We were about 3 years together, 2001, 2, and 3, wrapping up in 2004 at KTLA. And I just remember the day that we went to a party in the Warner Brothers lot. Mindy, I don't know if you were there.
I did. It was one of my last
remember that.
week of
You were
work.
in a gorgeous silk green dress.
I remember that.
I remember
Yes.
these things. And we saw the fountain from the Friends
Yes,
opening.
that was on the line.
I was like, I've made it.
Did we ever get a picture? I don't know if we ever got a picture on that fountain.
I don't know
Oh
if
my
it's in the
gosh.
fountain, but that night we hung out with the whole cast of Seventh Heaven.
Yeah, remember who grabbed your butt? Who was it that grabbed your butt? One of those guys.
That was
George Stoltz or
George. Oh, if you're out there, the brothers. What were their names?
He was my husband.
George and Jeff Stoltz.
Stoltz. Yeah.
Very, very good looking brothers that
Yes,
were on
he was
the
my
show.
husband on when I played on Seventh
that's
Heaven.
right, you were on
remember?
that
My
show.
ex-husband.
Seventh Heaven.
I had
that
a
was
little
another
clip on
one of
Seventh
those
Heaven.
shows that came after Party of Five and was tried to be Party of Five, but
And it was a
wasn't.
little. It was a
It was, like,
CW show,
religious.
but it was a little
Yeah.
more like.
It's actually very highly watched. Had high ratings.
they had,
People wanted wholesome television.
And
So
it
where
made
were
Jessica
you in
Biel a star.
1994?
94, I was on my runaway bride train.
Was it your first runaway
My
bride?
first runaway bride. Yes, that was the first engagement I left was in 94. Mm-hmm. Yep. And then the
And
next
where
one
were
was
you?
in
Were
96.
you in Oregon?
I was in Oregon. I had graduated. I too was a senior and whatever. I was a senior.
In her PhD program.
Let's just say she
I
was a
was in
senior.
dental school. I graduated dental school in 92. And then after that, yes, I met. And then we were together for a couple years. Yeah. And then my whole life is defined by my engagements.
Like
at that
what
time.
decade? What
Get engaged in
engagement?
'94.
How many
That was the
engagements
first
did you
one.
have?
Engagement number 2 was like a year
96.
later, and then I called that off in '98. Yeah, so they lasted about 2 years each.
So then
So
your
how
love
many-
life was not a joke at the time. It was quite an active.
It was
love
quite the
life.
story.
Yeah.
Well, they had, the show Friends was kind of, there was a lot of swapping going on,
Oh,
right?
yes.
So that was interesting where you're friends and then you date your friend.
I could never figure out who was dating who.
Then there was what are they called? Friends with benefits. And
Oh, that was on there.
there was a lot of
Benefits.
You know
Yeah,
there's a phrase "jump the shark," right, in Hollywood.
Yeah,
That's
that
the-
was a Fonz did that on the shark. He
literally
jumped the
and
shark.
so ever since Happy Days in that moment, there's been this phrase that means when a TV show or a sitcom is kind of like gone
Past
it's
its
reached
prime.
its
past its
peak.
prime.
It's reached its peak.
Sometimes when you start to pair off the leads with each other, and there's Ross and
And then you're
Rachel
like, yeah,
and
let's
Monica
go
and
with these
Chandler and
two.
like did Phoebe and
Phoebe and Joey, I think, slept together.
Maybe.
At one
No,
point.
I think
don't
there was like a
remember.
moment, right, or
Yeah, there was a
something.
moment.
The diehard fans,
but
the friends
Rachel
out
and
there,
Joey
like,
had a thing.
Oh yeah,
Remember
for just a
that?
second.
Yeah,
Joey
and then
was-
they said, "Oh, let's go back to Ross."
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
there
what
was
if
a lot of-
you just say which character you are most like? If you would say,
It's interesting because we talked about this before, and I want to say Rachel because she was the prettiest one and the hot one, and obviously that's true here too. But just kidding. But
You are the prettiest
the
boy in
truth
here.
is probably Chandler. Like that was probably in terms of his sarcastic.
Oh,
sense
you
of
are
humor,
spot
it was
on.
Witty. He's super witty,
Right.
super funny. Came in right at the right time. But if you were a combo, though, I think I'm a combo.
Yes. Oh, I think so too. I think
Yeah.
I'm a combo of Chandler and Monica.
And Monica.
Monica,
'Cause
the
Monica's
anal
the OCD.
cleaner.
Oh my
like,
God, that
exactly.
is so you.
Type
That
A
is
personality.
absolutely.
Yeah, JD has a very.
I don't
And
relate
also
to either
they
one of
fall in
those.
love with
side.
each other, and I love myself. So
Makes sense. I'm a combo of Phoebe and Ross. So
Isn't that
Phoebe is obvious because I'm the hippie do of the group.
Hippie
I'm bringing
I
the
see that.
Hippie dippy chick.
crystals.
Oh,
I
for
don't have a
sure.
little ukulele or guitar or anything and sing.
But you would.
Smelly
But-
cat,
Smelly
cat.
cat.
Why do you smell
What
so bad?
are they feeding you? No, so Phoebe's the hippie of the group, and she always says something wackadoo and off. So I would say that's me. But Ross has that conviction and always said, this is the way things should be. And he was such a honest, good guy, or tried to be a good guy. And I think I try to be a good person.
You
But
definitely
Ross
do.
struggled
You
with
are
that
a
as
good
I do
person.
too. But I would say maybe 70 Phoebe, 30 Ross. How about you?
That actually makes sense.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
How you doing?
How you doing?
How you
that's
doing? I am
So
so
inappropriate with the sex jokes. That is Mindy, right?
There's a blend. Mindy's probably a bit
bit
of
of
Joey.
Rachel.
And Rachel.
And
For
Rachel.
sure. The
That's funny. We
bougie-
all are totally different characters. Like literally can
Yeah,
own all three characters.
we picked.
Or the dice. Maybe
Well,
and
oh
also
my
that
God.
show worked in a big way because they were real friends.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge part. In fact, they talk about it in the Friends reunion interviews where the girls say that, maybe the whole group hasn't got together in like 17 years, but the three girls are still really tight and
Yeah.
get together all the time. And they
Yeah.
said during the show, they went to lunch every single day together. And it was a big part of
Yeah.
their friendship. And you felt that
is
energy come
so
through.
cute.
Well, and I was reading in this. I don't even know. I got this at Target.
I love that. That's
but
awesome.
it's the whole magazine is about Friends, front to
probably a
cover.
special
But they
publication about
talked
people.
about how the producers really, really, really forced them once they got cast to be
friends,
best
to get the
friends,
chemistry.
to like really get the chemistry going. So they pushed them to really be kind. They said to be kind to one another and to develop a real relationship. So it seemed more authentic on air, with the storylines and stuff. So
Marta Kaufman, who developed this show there was magic in the room when they cast it, Like
oh my gosh, and there were so
chemistry
many
between
people
these
that
six
it was
people
supposed to be.
was so inherent and so integral to the success of the show. It's hard to imagine the show with a different cast.
Well, I love
and
that.
yet,
That's so funny that I thought that was interesting that Courtney Cox was actually originally slated to play Monica.
And
She was
Elizabeth,
Monica.
I mean, not
She
Monica.
could have been Rachel.
Rachel.
she was one of the people considered
and
for
Tia
Rachel.
Leone was going to be Rachel.
I know, and
That's wild.
Jane Krakowski from 30 Rock.
Yeah.
I
go
can't
through
imagine
these. I
that's
think people
Rachel.
would be
And
interested
Leah
to hear.
Remini as Monica.
Oh, I could.
She would have
totally
been a funny Monica.
No. Oh
and
my
Kathy
God.
Griffin as Phoebe.
Or Ellen DeGeneres as Phoebe.
Oh my God. Jane Lynch as Phoebe.
Apparently, they wanted a powerful, funny lesbian as Phoebe, but yet
John Favreau as
I-
Chandler would have been
Lesbian.
fun.
I don't know if I could see Vince Vaughn
John
as Joey.
Cryer.
I know
mean,
that's kind of a stretch.
he got his
right?
own big show.
You know what? They were perfectly cast in the characters that they're. I could not imagine anyone else in those roles.
That's
Yeah.
the magic. Yeah.
I mean, that's how magical they embraced and created those roles. They
What
just
about
won
the
hearts.
title Friends? Get this. So they were playing around with the titles of what they could be.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would have been 6 of 1. I mean,
Okay.
think about how a title could,
Oh, yeah.
could determine success. I don't know if 6 of 1 would have landed across the hall,
Mm-hmm.
because they lived in the same apartment building. Insomnia Cafe, that was one of the names that was thrown around. Friends Like Us. And then they just said,
The network
"Screw it,
just said, "Why don't
we
you just call it Friends?"
Friends.
I like that.
Less is more. How many
Friends.
times
I
is
think
that true?
actually could have determined its success.
We're gonna change this podcast to Friends.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's
There might be a copyright issue with
there's
that
a
one,
lot
but
going on there.
Well, we'll have a Friends with an apostrophe.
Now,
Wow.
the magic of the show, besides the chemistry, was also sort of the simplicity of the storylines. I think one of the things that I loved about it was just even the titles. With every show, it was like, that one about that, right? Wasn't every title of every episode of Friends like the one where they, or
Yep.
the one,
Yeah.
where, and then when you're thinking back to
It's
the
the
shows,
moments.
you call it that organically. you remember that episode?
Remember that?
The one where Monica has a turkey on her head, or someone
Yeah,
had,
Joey
had a
one.
turkey
Oh
on
yeah,
his
the
head.
turkey and the glasses for the Thanksgiving.
Remember
episode.
the Pottery Barn one when she had the curio cabinet and it was like, oh my God, it was in the window. Oh my God.
The
Remember
apothecary,
the
right?
apothecary.
Yes.
Apothecary. The Pottery Barn.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Well, and the cafe was so sweet.
Yes.
And that was a really cool name too.
I would love to hear from our listeners, like in the comments, their favorite episode.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, those would be really
Well,
interesting
who was
to hear.
your favorite guest star?
That's
my
that's a
God.
big.
I
Oh, by
have
the
no
way, the
idea.
reunion.
Wasn't Harrison Ford in there?
Can we talk about the elephant in the room?
Your hair. Jeez.
Oh.
We used to be
wait a minute.
three
The
brunettes
elephants in the
there,
room.
okay?
Now we're kind of ombre. It's
I'm
like
gonna describe
fade to
this for the
black.
podcast audience who
You're
isn't
having a
watching
Gunther
this.
moment.
I do look like Gunther.
Gunther.
Hey, Gunther.
Oh my God.
If you're out there,
Remember
Gunther.
the
Write
coffee
me.
barista
We're hair
on
twins.
here? Yeah, on Friends. Remember
No.
Gunther?
That's funny, actually.
He was so.
Yes,
he was my
I am.
favorite.
I'm a bleach blonde. The reason this hair happened was because I went purple first. I don't know if you guys. I saw Mindy
Purple.
when I was
saw
purple.
it in purple.
But
Did
it
I have a
turns out
picture of
that
I think we took a picture.
aging middle-aged gays with splotchy red skin should not have purple hair. Why? Because it really pulls out that splotchiness. But blonde, I've had a
I
couple of
liked your
compliments.
blonde ambition. I say go for it.
I'm
It's
over here.
blondes have
summer.
more
We're
First time I
fun?
creeping
saw
up
it.
on summer, and you're living your best life.
I
You're gonna have to
absolutely am.
tell us
dancing with
if blondes do have more fun.
I will tell you, they already do.
He is having a Billy
I have-
Idol, Ken doll.
I want to
Billy
see the
Idol.
Billy Idol spike.
I
want you to spike it out,
it's
Billy
quite
Idol.
blonde.
I like
is
it.
quite
It's
blonde.
fun. I like how you
Well,
experiment
now your
with
mom
your hair.
can't give you any crap about you going gray.
That's exactly that. Do you know purple? When I did that first, it was an answer to all of this. So if anybody doesn't know this, my mother is a beautiful woman, and she has worked very hard her life to keep that beauty, and she does not like anyone thinking she has a son old enough to be gray, because that means
So
she's older.
your gray
so she
is
has
her
been on me.
reflection of her age. That's why she doesn't like it.
Exactly. So she's all about like,
How
get
old
your
is
hair
she?
done, get your hair done. If I said how old my mother was on air, she
I
would
wish you'd introduce her to
skin
this single man in the
me
room.
alive. She literally just the other day was like, you know, you don't have to tell everybody how old I am. Like, it's funny because you want the compliment, like, oh my God, you look so good for your age. But you have to know the age,
Right, to know
say
how
that
good you
compliment.
look for it.
So my
Yeah.
mother looks
So
very
she keeps it a
good for
mystery,
her.
and she wants her son to look young,
Yes.
so it's a reflection on
Right.
her. Makes sense. So every time you've seen JD have a color variation, this has
'Cause of his
totally been
mom.
driven by his mom. And during COVID, she was actually
Moved
doing
in.
the hair
She moved in.
herself. Now
Yeah.
you can go back to the salon and get
Yes.
a really
Yes.
cool look. Well, Gunther was my favorite guest star. I know yours was Brad Pitt.
Oh, hello. Brad Pitt's my
Brad
favorite
Pitt.
everything.
Oh my God.
I liked Reese Witherspoon as
Oh,
Rachel's
she's so
sister. I thought
good.
that was really cute.
And Aisha Tyler was great as
Yeah,
Joey's girlfriend.
she was great. No, Ross's girlfriend.
Ross's girlfriend. That's right, Ross's.
And
Oh
then
my
what was
What else do we have? Oh, Tom
Julia
Selleck.
Roberts played.
Tom Selleck, that's right.
Tom
Right like
Selleck.
Tom with
He was on
Monica.
for a long, he was like on for the whole season.
Yeah,
The whole
that
he
was
was
season.
awesome.
so. Oh, I loved
Wait,
her.
Wait,
Susan
Julia Roberts was on
Sarandon?
Friends?
Julia Roberts played a guest role. Remember, she was a disgruntled. Matthew Perry, Chandler's character, played a prank on her in elementary school and ruined her. Like, she was destroyed by it. And then she turns out to be hot Julia Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
They meet at a restaurant. He doesn't know who she is. He doesn't even put it two and two together.
Right.
And then she says, let's meet in the bathroom and do it. And he's like thinking he's gonna do it, and she goes and says, "Get in the stall and get naked." And he totally gets naked, thinks he's having this amazing sexual experience in a restaurant bathroom, and she steals all his clothes and runs away. And she goes, "That's for what you did to me when I was in elementary school. I'm getting you back." And he's like,
She
"What?"
was something
And-
underpants. Susie Underpants.
Oh yeah, Susie
Susie
Underpants.
Yeah, she was teased.
She was good because she was like.
Billy Crystal and Robin
vindictive
Williams.
Like, she was having her revenge moment, and so that was really good.
Did you know Billy Crystal and Robin Williams were guests, but they were not supposed to be. They were working nearby set when the writers asked if they want to make an appearance. So they just walked in and improv the whole thing.
I love
I
that.
love that.
And you
love
know,
that.
speaking of, and it's a friend show. I just saw an interview with Billy Crystal because he has a new movie out, and he talked about Robin Williams and how they were best friends, and
They were.
and it was a moment on
cutest
the
picture with
interview
both
where
of
he
them.
was like, Robin Williams when he was the Oscars host, he was able to give Robin Williams his Oscar for Good Will Hunting, and he said, because the interviewer asked, "What was your most memorable moment as a host on the Oscars?" And he was like, "When I gave my best friend the Oscar, and I was there on stage with him," and I was like, "Oh my God!" And then to see him with Robin Williams as a guest spot on Friends too, it just like, wow, Friends, like you see all the.
I love it.
Stars aligning and connections.
And their real life friendships
years
obviously were huge to the show, but you felt it. You know, you felt that energy come through the screen. Even felt like the guest stars who came on sort of like drank the Kool-Aid and were part of the fun.
And Hank Azarian, Sean Penn.
Totally.
Hank Azarian. Remember Susan Sarandon played Joey's soap opera co-star, right? Remember she was on that funny doctor. Remember he was
Dr.
a doctor?
Dr. Drake Ramore.
Oh, that's right. How you doing?
Oh
How
yeah,
you
he
doing?
was such a. I
How
love.
you doing?
You know how hard it is to be an actor and then play like
Right.
you're a bad actor. Like he really had a fun role. Like haven't you seen when in shows and TV shows where they try to pretend like they've done it on Modern Family where they pretend they're on a commercial or they're in an awkward moment that they have to play an actor and they're horrible.
Right.
It's super cute. I don't know, but yeah.
Oh, hey, here's one for. Did Heather know that Paul Rudd was on there?
Shout out to our friend Heather.
Rudd played. Wait, whose
He
boy?
swept
He
in
got
at the
married.
tail end to play
he
Mike
married
Hannigan,
Phoebe.
Phoebe's
Oh, that's
boyfriend
right.
turned
He
third
Phoebe.
had
husband.
It was
twins.
his third.
Didn't they?
It was her third marriage. Remember, Phoebe had all these people. Remember, that
Giovanni
all of a sudden they
Ribisi.
were.
Didn't she marry?
No, that's her brother.
Oh, that's
He
the
played
brother.
her.
But who
He
he
played-
did?
He was part of the end. He goes, it was a little awkward. I thought, I'm not supposed to be there, he said, of witnessing Aniston crying about the show ending. So to break the ice, I went over and just went, we did it, huh? What a ride. The joke inevitably fell flat.
Paul Rudd. She was like,
Rudd.
"Get out of here! You're a guest." But yeah, he was. He played
Danny
her
DeVito
husband.
as
She
a
got
stripper.
Phoebe got married to Paul Rudd.
I love that. What about Danny DeVito as a stripper? I remember that one. That was so
Danny DeVito as a stripper. We should see if he's available for.
But Brad Pitt was the big
Future
one
events.
because Brad Pitt and Rachel were actually dating, or were they married in real
In real
life
life.
when he? They
What
were
year
either
did
dating
they
or
get- Boy,
married.
you're testing our
when he,
entertainment reporter knowledge
I know
here.
you guys are the ones that were the entertainment
But you were
reporters.
the producer. You knew all the information. We just reported it.
When he was on, when Brad was on, he and Rachel were definitely together at the time.
George
right?
Clooney.
Yeah, yeah.
Or,
They
ma-
were-
or was it
Yeah,
that
George
he
Clooney
still
played a
agreed to
doctor.
do it even though they weren't? Because I feel some part of me feels like there's a story
No,
there.
he
that
hated Rachel. Him and I remember it's coming to me.
Perfect.
wait.
Brad Pitt and Ross were childhood friends, and they
Here,
hated Rachel, and they had a I Hate Rachel club. Right? Am I right?
That
and
sounds
so
right.
yeah,
Yeah, we got
producer
thumbs up from
Andrew
producers.
has
That's
binge
it.
watched Friends recently. He's going to be our
By the way, the
fact
producer,
checker.
our staff is like, they knew they were getting on to talk about Friends today, right?
No.
They're just
Nobody
coming up with it
listens
all.
to me, you guys.
We absolutely
It says it
listen
right
to you.
Hated it
But
with
the
a passion.
show,
That's so
beyond just having like this really
Alec Baldwin.
joyful, like the show wouldn't be made again today. But something that was really special about it at the time was that it brought a lot of, I think, issues like to the forefront. That like we talked, this is 1994. This is before Will and Grace. This is before gay marriage. This is before all that. To have lesbian couple, to have a healthy, happy lesbian couple on TV at that time it was ahead of its time and helpful, right, to the movement.
Yeah, it was a groundbreaker,
growth.
and it's something that it is beloved. There's never an airplane flight if it's not on there that I don't stop and watch an episode because it's just.
I want to go back. I want to watch some before this big reunion that's
Now,
Thursday.
we would be a little remiss though not to talk about this reunion.
Some of the buzz.
So, yeah, there's headlines, and it's worth talking about. We talk about friendship, we talk about the good parts, the hard parts, and they filmed the 6 of them filmed some promos for the new season where they're being interviewed by James Corden. Is that right?
Yeah.
And it seemed that maybe one of the friends has struggled a little bit.
Well, he's
And
very
he's
public.
been very public about
yeah.
his addiction, and I don't
You
know.
just wish him the best. I mean, it's hard. I mean, that's
We shouldn't talk in
Sometimes
code
coping.
in case, but Matthew Perry,
Yeah, well,
has
that's-
struggled. The actor who played Chandler,
Mm-hmm.
has struggled definitely with drugs and alcohol. And during that reunion interview, he looked a little inebriated. He looked like he was sounded like he was slurring his words a little bit. And so, not to point fingers or whatever, but
No,
just
but
our
it's
heart
an
goes
obvious
out to
thing. It's a
somebody who might need
it's.
some help.
I think everyone can see that.
Right.
There's some prayers needed there for him.
I wonder if it'll impact the reunion at all. Like, what is the reunion?
Well,
It's like, how many episodes is a
the
special?
haters
like,
are going to
4-part
pull
series,
out
right?
whatever they can,
Right,
to,
of course,
to put a negative spin on it. And I'd like to think that you know how you think of rock stars and you see how they've aged, and it's a trajectory that seems like, oh wow, they've seen some days. You know, it's been hard on them, and so Chandler maybe just as a residual. From his addiction, it could be current. I don't know. I don't want to say because I don't know.
You don't. We don't know, but the signs are there.
His signs of aging and his signs of being a little not on the mark, like he was known for his super fast, witty, comedy. He seemed a little bit on a satellite delay. I'll say that. And so, I'm sure, there's already been all kinds of stuff about it because of the promos and trailer that leaked out, and but it's
well, certainly
sad.
we wish him the best. We wish him health, but we do. We were talking about friendship here. We have to talk about all parts of it. And if you see your
friendship
friend
comes in very many different.
or in Mo, and you don't want to make any kind of judgments or say things that you don't know, right? Because you don't know. But like Keith Richards, right, and the Rolling Stones, like they were rode hard and put away wet. Years later, that drug use has like all over their face.
You can see it, yeah.
But
they could be sober for 20 years.
That's the difference. The look could have been residual, but slurring is not. That is present concern. And if those are their friends,
think of Ozzy Osbourne though.
That's not
Ozzy Osbourne is not a current drug user, but he is speech
impaired
and slow. No, you could have like
I've heard
stroke
Matthew Perry
type
speak
symptoms.
normally.
He's had a comeback in his career.
Yes,
he's had some
of course.
movies, and who else is living there? Like Jennifer Aniston, her career was amazing
that's an interesting
after.
topic.
David Schwimmer had a big stage.
During the time, the 6 of them actually went through some really public negotiations to the point where,
as a group,
because as I think Jennifer Aniston's career was really exploding. And so she was able to command more money, but they had a deal. If one goes up, they all go up. And by the 10th season, I believe they were making $1 million each a show.
Episode.
I think I remember hearing that.
So think
And
about
at
what the
the time-
negotiations were like for the reunion.
Whoa.
Mindy will tell you, as entertainment reporters, we have been asking the cast of Friends every single time we see them about a Friends reunion. Like, there's not been one interview I've done with Courtney Cox.
Well, they refused to do a
anybody.
reboot. So
Right.
it's really just an
Now
interview
here it
about the
is.
25th anniversary. That's probably all they could pull out of them.
But HBO Max
Because they said, we'll never do a reboot. We're never, gonna.
That could fall
What is
flat.
this reunion going to look like? It starts on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
It's not live,
just
is it?
Interviews. It's just going back and they're
Kinda
and they
like,
have a live audience and they
Kind of like After the Rose.
Oh, it's not scripted.
No. It's not a reboot at all.
That's all the research I did.
Yeah, there wasn't enough money in the world, I think, is what you're,
Yeah, maybe that's
pretty
it.
much.
I didn't think they were bringing the show back. I thought they were doing a special, like, multi-part return look at, but I did think it was scripted. I didn't realize
But when you think about it, look, they have more money than God. All the binge watching and all the sources they're still making money off that show is what I'm saying. They made a bunch then and it continued, but when you want to reinvent your career, Rachel's, like you said, was catapulting into movies. And remember back then, TVs and movies, it was like church and state. You either were a TV star or a movie star. You did, and when someone crossed over, it was like a big deal. Now that's not the case because of Netflix and cable and everything. But Ross always complained that he couldn't get a role after that because no one saw him outside of Ross.
Yeah.
But
now he's the voice of a giraffe in Madagascar.
That's true.
He
But
does.
That's true. He does. Very nice. He does have a very distinctive voice, David Schwimmer.
Yeah.
And he's done
He
some
did a lot of
stuff.
plays.
But you're
He
right.
did some plays and stuff on
It is
stage.
interesting to see, like, which of them went on to be able to sort of get past the Friends reputation and separate themselves from that. But, I mean, none of them probably ever have to work again, right?
No,
I mean, that
probably
show
not.
has never left television. The residuals are still coming in, so good for you guys. Good for
Yay,
you.
good for that.
Way to kill that.
Well,
All good
hopefully
things
our
must come to an
podcast will
end.
end. Will not end, and we'll have a 10-year, run at the very least, and have reunions and all kinds of good
You
things.
can't have a
And
reunion if you're still together.
so we have questions for you.
We're not breaking up.
We do.
Where were you in 1994 when the show launched? Which character are you most like?
And what is the most memorable episode that you remember?
Oh yeah, and what was your funniest and your favorite guest star? That's a good one too.
There you go.
I mean,
I love it.
I love
Answer
it
those
too.
questions.
All
right.
Down below. And we'll
Friendsome and Then Some
Yeah.
loves the Friends reunion. We're here for it, you guys.
are.
I'll be there
We'll have to do another
for
show
you.
once it's
I'll be there for you. Cause you're there for me too.
I'll be there for you.
I know all the words.
Oh, he does.
Cheers.
I don't. Whatever.
Bye, friends.
Bye,
Thanks
friends.
for another episode of Friendsome and Then Some.
Did you like what you heard today on our podcast? Or did you like what you saw on our vidcast? Were you watching?
How about sending us a comment or suggestion on any topic you want us to talk about?
We'll have new episodes every Tuesday. Please join in the conversation on our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on Instagram. You can download our podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. See you next time on
Friendsome and Then Some.